You're very welcome along to Sport on TV this weekend. Find out what's on Friday, Saturday, and Sunday and my rating for this weekend's sport. Yes, going to add a few graphics to this. So we're going to have the sport to my left-hand side shortly. Friday, Saturday, Sunday. You can do a lot of screen grabs there, but I'll also run through it. And then let me know if you agree or disagree on my rating. So I'm going to be very harsh on these because there are some incredible sporting weekends. It's not some not so, and this one is quite decent. Whether it's better than last week, who knows? You'll find out. But let's start with Friday. So we can see here, Friday, we're going to kick it off with Australian Open, 12:30 onwards. That's TNT coverage, but that continues throughout the morning on Friday morning. Well, we're checking that out. The Dubai Desert Classic has Shane off to a good start there. Obviously, he blew up basically on the 72nd hole in Dubai Invitational, but a solid start to his round. Rory, a few shots back, so he'll need a good Friday morning there. The World Bowls indoors, if that's your thing, is going to be on BBC on Friday and throughout the weekend. You've got T20 international action on TNT. The American Express on the PGA Tour is on Sky from 4:30. We've got WSL games, not just Friday evening, but throughout the weekend. We've got Pauli versus Hamburg. That's the Bundesliga YouTube deal. They've done every Friday night Bundesliga game. You can just watch it live on YouTube, either BBC right up until Mark Goldbridge and everything in between. So you just search the Bundesliga 7:30 if that's your thing. Munster, they need to bounce back. They're going to be playing Challenge Cup rugby, but it's the URC action. They host the Dragons. That's on TG Cahir and Premier Sports. And on Premier Sports 2, Edinburgh versus Bulls in the same competition. You've got Gloucester versus Bath in the English Premiership. Inter are at home on TNT Sports. That's in Serie A, obviously after their disappointing defeat to Arsenal in the Champions League, and then Derby versus West Brom in the Championship. So that's Friday's action. Let's go to Saturday, and obviously a lot more hectic here. Again, the Australian Open and the Dubai Desert Classic kick us off. We've got Sri Lanka versus England, one-day international cricket. The early kickoff, proper blockbuster stuff this. West Ham versus Sunderland, but joking aside, it is a massive game for the Hammers to see. Can they close that gap to Nottingham Forest and the other sides like Leeds United and even Bournemouth just above them in the Premier League table? Millwall Charlton highlights the EFL games on Sky, so you can watch that game on Sky Sports Football. But if you do want to watch any of the other early kickoffs on the EFL, just head over to Sky Plus. The WSL match, as I touched on, that one game will be shown live on BBC. Pretty big Saturday on ITV for the horse race in Cheltenham Trials Day, 12:45. The ground's going to be very heavy there, judging by the rain. Touched on the World Bowls, and let's get into the GA action. And it's really good this weekend. We have the return of the National Leagues. Dublin versus Kerry, LGFA. TG Cahir kicks us off from 2:45. Meath versus Derry is Croke Park game at 3:00. That's on the TG Cahir app. And you can see there Dublin versus Donegal is the double header. That will be on the main TG Cahir channel. At the same time as Meath versus Derry, you've got City versus Wolves on Premier Sports in the Premier League. Scarlets versus Ulster on the other Premier Sports channel, Premier Sports 2. That's 3:00 from the URC. And Harlequins versus Leicester. TNT is the English Premiership game from rugby. You also have two other games on TNT as well. I think that's through the red button from there. Both those games kicking off at 3:00. The American Express we touched on with the golf. We've got Connacht versus Leinster from 5:30. That's going to be Connacht's brand new stand there. So that should be a brilliant game. Well, we're tuning into that from 5:30. Might have to double screen it though, because Bournemouth versus Liverpool is on the same time at 5:30. Bit of Bundesliga action there if you wanted to on Sky Football. Union Berlin versus Dortmund from 5:30. The hurling, great to have big time hurling back, inter-county hurling back. Tipperary versus Galway live on RT2 from 7:00 opens the National Leagues. Got a couple of URC games at 7:45. The Pegasus World Cup, which I just threw in there because it is going to be on Virgin Media plus Sky Race, and I think Virgin Media 3, and of course Match of the Day, a staple diet from Saturday. Before we go on to Sunday, I'm really bad asking this. If you can take 2 seconds, hit that like button and subscribe if you want more of this each and every week. But Sunday, we touched on it, Australian Open, big UFC box office action. That's at 4 a.m., I think, is when the main fight is going to be. The Dubai Desert Classic final round, 4:30. The Big Bash final, 8:15. That's going to be live on Sky. I said I'd include that there. I said I'd also include AZ Alkmaar and Troy Parrott. They're away to Telstar from 11:15 live on Premier Sports. So early kickoffs is not up against much if football-wise, if you do want to tune in for that. The WSL matches, there's a lot of them kicking off at the same time. 11:55 Sunday, all on Sky Plus. Game I nearly missed there, the South Coast Derby, Portsmouth versus Southampton. That's on Sky Plus from 12. You got La Liga action at 1. Galway versus Mayo, 1:45. TG Car, that's on the main channel. If you do want Kerry Roscommon, you can watch the third coverage of that from 5:35 on the main channel on TG Car, or watch it live on the TG Car app from 2 o'clock. It's going up against pretty decent Premier League action. Palace, Chelsea, Newcastle, Villa, Brentford, Forest live on Sky, and we also got Northern Premiership there, Glentoran versus Cliftonville from 2 o'clock. A game I wouldn't normally watch now, Scottish Premiership 3 o'clock game, but I think this one has to be on the smaller screen, Hearts versus Celtic, because could effectively end Celtic's title challenge if they do lose this game away to Hearts. So massive game in the Scottish Premiership, and Martin O'Neill's side, that's 3 o'clock. If Barcelona are your thing, you can get them 3:15 Premier Sports. Cork versus Waterford, TG Cahir, 3:45 is the big hurling game live on TG Cahir on Sunday, and that will go up against the second half of that anyway. Arsenal versus Manchester United live on Sky. The same time, the early coverage of the PGA Tour kicks off. The American Express, that is Sky Golf. Juventus Napoli, I just included that because all Serie A games are on the zone, if you didn't know that. But Juventus versus Napoli, the biggest game not being covered by TNT, who pick up around 1 or 2 games each week from Serie A. More La Liga action, Roma, Milan, TNT, 7:45. And then we've got the big playoff action here. So Patriots at the Broncos is actually live on Virgin Media as well as Sky, but also Channel 5 if you're watching in the UK. The other game is the Rams at the Seahawks at the NFC Sky, and that's from 11:30. Boca Juniors, I said I include that. That's for Premier Sports viewers if you're still looking for your football fix at 9:30. And then the 2 big highlights show, League Sunday and Match of the Day, 25-10 and 10:30. This is a tough one. I think it's going to be similar enough to last week. We have good NFL playoff action. We've got the National Leagues back, which I think boosts it, and a better Premier League card than last week. So I'm going to go for maybe a 6.7 out of 10 as a rating. But let us know in the comments what you think of that. It's could be a controversial one, but I'm waiting for a proper good sporting weekend to get up to the 7s and maybe the 8s. But enjoy the weekend sport. As I said, if you can't take 2 seconds, hit that like button. But we'll chat to you next week.